ready when you are. Go for it.
My name is Cade Van Komen.
My name is Elise Willard.
My name is Ethan Van Komen.
And my name is Natalie Edie.
Braille,
bringing the blind into the light.
Previous ideas of reading for the blind were inadequate, leading to determine Louis Braille to develop his idea of the use of 6 raised dots as a form of communication for the blind, making his writing system a frontier in history.
Our story begins in 1819, where Louis Braille is the first to receive a scholarship to the first charitable school of its kind, the Rural Institution for Blind Youth in Paris, France. It was created by Valentine Hoy and the church to educate and to give the blind a trade. Let us discover how Louis Braille paved the way for the blind to take their place in the seeing world and come into the light.
Louis settled into his new life at the Royal Institute for Blind Youth. The teachers would help students write home to their parents, and despite the poor conditions of the damp and chilly building, Louis was now part of the effort and experiment to prove that the blind could be taught. His thirst for knowledge continued to build as he immersed himself in his schoolwork with the promise of a brighter future.
Research is one way I don't feel impaired. We are on equal terms with the seeing. Music comes naturally to me. It is smooth and fluid, and I'm not fumbling around with a cane.
If only there was a way to put this to paper.
Louis, it's time for embossing.
Coming, you know, I always look forward to reading.
I can't believe you just arrived at our school and you already know how to read.
Yes, I'm determined to learn. That's the only way I feel I can contribute to society. But these books with one-sided pages are disappointing. Not to mention the huge letters, and you can only fit a few sentences on each page. They won't do much for us in the real world.
You should be thankful that we have these books at all. They're very expensive, and our library only has 14 of them.
If there was only a simpler way to read.
I always mixed up the letters O and Q. They feel so similar, and by the time I reach the end of the sentence, I've forgotten what I've read because it takes so long to read each word.
Embossing is a fine idea. It's more of a classroom exercise than a practical means of communication. Embossed books are hard to come by in the real world, and once we leave the Institute, it will be as though we have never learned to read at all.
By now, all Louis could do was consume himself with thoughts about a better way to write for the blind. Finally, his inspiration, a retired French Army captain, Charles Barbier, came to the Institute upon request from the school to teach the boys his secret military code based on dots and dashes punched into his slate.
Boys, I've come to show you my greatest work. I call it night writing. My men use it at night to communicate simple commands to each other without light or sound. It is also called sound writing because I've improved it so you can write a full sentence if you wish. I believe it'd be very useful to the blind. Pass around these samples of commands and go ahead, take a look. I mean, a feel.
This is it, Gabriel. Finally, something new has been invented. My fingertips are much more sensitive to these dots and dashes than the embossed letters of our school books.
But this is very complicated.
Yes, there's so many dots.
Come on, boys, we've got to give it a chance.
The boys did give it a chance, but many soon gave up, thinking it was simply too hard to use because it was based on sounds. Many dots and dashes were needed to represent a single word. Some words had up to 12 dots spread out, so your finger had to move in one large motion to read one sound. This made reading slow and awkward.
Louis was fully charged and motivated to improve night writing. He worked on his new system whenever he could, but mostly late into the night. That was the best time when everyone else was asleep and quiet.
Is this a wild goose chase? Men have been working on this problem for hundreds of years. Smart men, important men, older men. One after another, they have failed. Who am I to think that I could do better?
Louis, were you up all night again?
Yes, I must keep working. Sometimes I think I'll kill myself if I don't succeed. Gabriel, do you remember the other day when the founder of our institute, Valentine Hoy, came to visit and he shook our hands personally?
Yes, I remember.
Well, I felt that with the touch of his hands, he was personally passing along a torch to me. I want to take that torch and hold it high for the world of the blind, bringing light to all who cannot see.
But you've been working on this wild goose chase for 3 years now. I'm worried about you. Half the time you forget to eat.
I think I've got it. I've been so focused on improving Captain Barbier's method based off of sounds, but that's the problem. There are too many sounds. Whenever you use dots to represent letters of the alphabet, it's so simple. It might just work. I'll use 6 dots, 2 across, 3 down. Different arrangements within the cell will represent different letters. I must show Captain Barbier.
My system has already been perfected, boy. You are merely a child and hardly capable of making a new form of communication.
Even without the captain's support, Louis knew his discovery was remarkable. When he finished his system in the fall of 1824 and showed the other boys, they too could barely contain their excitement. He had been working for 3 years now. Though the public did not yet know it, his Braille alphabet would revolutionize the world, finally bringing them into the light.
Now I can write letters home to my family.
It's so small it can fit under my fingertips.
The first thing I'm going to do is write a diary.
Hey, we can even take notes and read them.
I was just 15 years old when I first demonstrated my first successful system. Soon the whole school was talking about my new system of raised dots, all anxious and excited to record their thoughts and feelings for the first time. By the time I was 20, I had perfected my system, similarly to what is used today.
We interrupt this program to share a revolutionary new invention, bringing awareness to the blind. Are you visually impaired? Do you need an easier way of reading and writing Braille? Contestants can win this Braille note today. It is portable and has a refreshable Braille display. It even has a speech synthesizer.
Welcome everyone to the Braille Challenge, hosted by the National Braille Institute. For those of you who are newcomers, this is an annual competition designed to promote and spread awareness of blind accomplishments in reading and writing.
We have made it to the night of the final, folks. We have Ethan and Cade competing in a one-on-one round speed reading Braille. Up first, we have Ethan reading an excerpt from an article about the life and death of Louis Braille.
Louis was only 3 years old when he lost his eyesight due to an awl in his father's workshop. And the disease soon spread to his left eye. He did not give up despite his enormous challenge. His parents were deeply concerned he would end up as a mummer or a beggar, like the majority of the blind community. He had two choices: become a mummer and a beggar, or become educated.
Time! A fantastic demonstration of the use of Braille. Thank you, Ethan.
Though he died young due to complications from the poor conditions at the Institute, the impact that Braille and his alphabet left on the world was a great frontier in communication for the blind. Braille broke barriers for the blind to become literate as the printing press did for the sighted.
Time. Another excellent example. Louis Braille truly did influence how many opportunities were available for the blind with this new form of communication, and his accomplishments weren't even recognized until 1952 after his death.
Yes, without Braille, many advancements made through the system, assisted by technology, would not have been possible. Thus, the advances in Braille revolutionized Braille's idea as a frontier in history.
Also, for all you athletes out there, make sure to take a break from the academics and head out to the gymnasium to play some go ball. Be sure to bring your eye mask to even the playing field on your visual impairment.
Our institute continues to promote the importance of Braille literacy skills, which are essential to academic and employment success. We are finally bringing more awareness to the blind.
Dr. Pinier, the school's director, worked desperately to get Louis' alphabet approved by the French government, but it was not easy to change established customs, and the government was not excited to get rid of all the expensive embossed books and retrain teachers on a system created by a child.
Louis soon graduated and became a teacher at the institute, where he continued to teach the boys his raised dot system. Many influential people in his life still tried to put out his light. Armand Dufaux, the school's new director, did everything in his power to end giving knowledge to the blind. He felt that if the blind could think for themselves, the sighted would no longer have control of the institute. So he banned the use of Braille at the institute and locked up every slate and stylus.
Even the King of France did not believe Louis' alphabet would succeed, but Louis and his schoolmates persevered. No one was willing to let go of the light they had finally received. They passed his alphabet from young to old, even if they were caught and punished for using it. 10 years later, a man named Cade was hired at the institute and discovered the boys using Braille in secret. He then convinced Dufaux that no one could stop the adoption of Braille as one could stop the rising or setting of the sun. So he should see to it that its adoption was here, at the Royal Institute for the Blind.
2 centuries after Braille was invented, it's still going strong today. The world keeps changing and new technology develops to assist in the teaching of Braille. Louis Braille's torch continues to be passed on, giving the blind the ability to access information independently and to gain knowledge through reading, revolutionizing the way the blind are perceived and contribute to the world. It'll be very interesting to see what the future and frontier of Braille will bring.
Braille is knowledge and knowledge is power.